You are listening to Coast to Coast Film Reviews with Raj and David. Let's talk movies.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Coast to Coast Film Reviews, also known as two random guys who review films and think you might give a damn about their opinions. I'm your host Raj, and here he is, my co-host, a guy whose passion for excellence is surpassed only by his passion for Robert Pattinson. It's David.
Oh yes, you know I love Robbie boy.
Yeah, I slipped him in. I think I'm going to be slipping him once in every single episode just for you.
You know what? I don't think I watched a Robert Pattinson film this week.
What's wrong? Is everything okay?
You know what? I think I was going to watch, what is that, the King? Or he has a new Netflix one that just came out, and I didn't get around to it.
Called The King?
I think it's called The King. I could be wrong on that, but there's a new one he has out on Netflix.
That name sounds familiar, but I thought it was somebody else. I feel like I saw that too. Timothy Chalamet. Oh, no, Robert Pattinson is in it. Oh,
see?
He's got some
Question me
hair.
on my Robert Pattinson knowledge.
You know, I apologize. If there's anyone who knows his filmography, it would be you.
Yeah, I want to see him and Jake Gyllenhaal do a remake of Brokeback Mountain. That's my dream.
Wait, why?
Just because I love both of those guys so much.
Oh, I thought you were... Oh, you are making a sly joke there.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That would be just... Does it happen?
You know, since Heath Ledger's dead, Robert Pattinson can just kind of slip into that role.
Oh. I haven't seen the movie.
I've never seen it either.
Oh, you haven't? My wife's
seen
it. She said it was really good. I'm pretty I feel like I woke up one day with the TV on, and I think I might have seen the end, or someone spoiled the ending for me. So I don't want to talk about it because I'm waiting for memory loss to kick in. Oh, you know, I have been getting a couple complaints from my friends that you are giving too much of these the movies when you review them, because you're talking about some like critical scenes and stuff. And
really?
I when I'm doing the edits, I'm like, yeah, that is kind of a bit much. And I'm not talking about like how we were doing Parasite or what was the other one, Lighthouse and stuff, because that we were trying to go into it more. I mean, like when we do our like what we saw this week stuff, they want it to be a little bit more vague.
Oh,
is what I'm hearing.
Well, the people have spoken.
The people have complained. I told them
I'm sorry, people. Sometimes I just get so into it.
No, that's fine. We can do that.
Can't control myself.
All right. So,
you know, some films, you know, and I was watching a review on One Cut of the Dead, which will probably be one of my favorite films of the year, in top 10 lists. But you can even talk about that film without spoiling it, because
every scene is just so.
The main premise is a twist. Like, if I just told you, I have to tell you, it's kind of like a zombie film that involves filmmaking. And if I go any further than that, you're just lost. You lost all the meaning behind the film. I'm glad I went into it totally blind. I just seen people raving about it. But it's one of those movies you can't even really read a review on, because there's no way you can review it without spoiling it.
Do you remember when we covered it for that clip that's on our channel?
I don't think we got too deep into it.
No, but I'm trying to remember. I think, well, now I don't know if I want to say it, but it was, you said it's about like basically a filmmaker and relating to the actor who's in his movie. Yeah, okay. So you said something along those lines, but then, yeah, I do remember it was cut short and you were like, you didn't want to say anything else.
Yeah, it's just so tough, some of these films. Just like when we're talking about Parasite, I mean, how can you really discuss that film in any type of meaningful way without giving away some of the points?
Yeah, I know. But like you said, you made a good point when we were doing the Parasite review. You were saying, like, you know, it's still in theaters, it's still pretty new, and not a lot of people know about it. Yeah. So it's like if you just give it away, then people are going to be like, oh, well, you know, sounds good.
Yeah,
Now
I
I
think
know
we
it.
did a pretty good job, but it's tough sometimes. So I'm sorry, folks.
Well, I mean, I definitely took the lazy route with editing on that one, and I just said Parasite spoiler review.
Yeah,
It's like, so just don't listen to it until you see the movie.
and like the Lighthouse, that's another one that's hard to talk about without.
I think that one we did a good job. That one we did a good job talking about it without giving away like straight up scenes and stuff. We talked about a couple good scenes, but not to in the way of giving away the movie in any way. So
Yeah.
I think we did a good job with that one. Mostly they were just like, "Oh, who's this David guy? Can you replace him?" And I was like, "Listen,
Oh,
I'll second." I was like, "Let me deal with him."
I don't
So
think anybody's gonna take any less money than I take.
that's true. That's true.
Get what you paid for.
You're doing a fine job. I'm not trying to shit on you. I appreciate the expertise you bring to the table. I feel more like I'm the average movie fan, or I don't have anything under my belt in terms of critic degrees or anything. In terms of just like raw amount of movies seen, I think you've definitely got me on that, and in different genres and whatnot.
You
So,
go to the gym. I watch movies.
oh, okay.
You waste toy your life away trying to be healthy and shit.
See, you turn an insult into like a jokey compliment, and I appreciate it. See, I see where you were going. All right. So what do we got today? We are doing our top 10 guilty pleasures. It is not what you think. I hope everyone understands what guilty pleasure is. Would you like to explain what a guilty pleasure is?
It's something that you enjoy or hold in high esteem that a lot of other people don't. I guess specifically critics, but
Yeah,
but
exactly.
even just audiences as a whole, something you love that a lot of other people don't. And I'm not talking about like, oh, I really like this art film, and I don't know if people understand it. I'm talking about probably a little bit more mainstream stuff that just people think is crap.
I think the second you start hearing some of these movies, I think the listeners are going to get an idea what the hell we're talking about.
And
So if you're still confused,
we were talking about a little bit before the show. I think nostalgia kind of makes us hold on to some of these. So some of these we might say, and you might really like yourself, but a lot of it is nostalgia.
mm. Yeah, I agree. All right, why don't you start us off with your number 5 for top 5 guilty pleasures?
My number
10.
5 would be The Cable Guy.
Oh,
That is probably one of the least liked Jim Carrey films, especially when it came out, because Jim Carrey had like the Ace Ventura films.
yeah.
What else did he do up to that point? I mean, of
Well,
course,
there
you
was
had In Living Color, Dumb and Dumber. I think Dumb and Dumber was before that, but The Cable Guy was a really dark, different type of comedy from Jim Carrey, and I think a lot of people didn't like it.
you said
But
a dark comedy, yeah?
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
involves a cable guy who's stalking a customer, and the cable
Matthew
guy,
Broderick, right?
yeah, Matthew Broderick, and the cable guy is just kind of lonely and just really trying to find a friend. But he's terrible at making friendships, so he ends up stalking Matthew Broderick, and I just think it's a hilarious film. I love it. It's I love Dumb and Dumber, but I would say Cable Guy is probably my second favorite Jim Carrey film.
That might be one of. Oh, you know what? He has a lot of old ones. I'm looking at the filmography now. There's a lot of Jim Carrey that I've missed along the way. But you were asking, so Cable Guy came out in '96. Some of his more popular ones that came before that was Ace Ventura in '94, also The Mask in '94, Dumb and Dumber in '94, Batman Forever, where he played the Riddler in
Yep.
'95, Ace Ventura, the sequel, When Nature Calls, came out in '95, and then Cable Guy, followed by Liar Liar the next year. And then some more serious stuff, The Truman Show in '98, and Man on the Moon in '99.
Oh, Man on the Moon's a great movie too. Have you ever seen that one?
No, who was he portraying?
Andy
Andy
Kaufman.
Kaufman, and I wasn't familiar with that character, so I was like, I wasn't sure if I was really going to get it.
Yeah, it's a good film. He was all full on method acting on that. He kind of lost his brain. I think there's a documentary about him making that film too. It was kind of interesting.
I think the one that I liked, a serious movie from him. I didn't see Truman Show. There's another
That's a
one.
good one.
Yeah, I mean, Liar Liar is a good one. I love Liar Liar. The Majestic. I think that was probably the serious one. The last one I remember that I liked, and it was
No,
just
I
like,
don't. Now I was talking about comedy films. My favorite Jim Carrey that he's in is Eternal Sunshine for a Spotless Mind. That's a great
oh, that's a
film.
good one. I forgot about that one.
That is a
Oh,
great film.
and the irreplaceable Elijah Wood.
Yes. I love Elijah Wood. Elijah Wood is a huge horror nut he did the Maniac remake, which is one of my favorite horror remakes ever. He's also
Oh,
done a lot of production as well. He's actually producing the new H.P. Lovecraft film, The Color Out in Space, starring Nicolas Cage. And
oh,
that company's in the talk of making two more H.P. Lovecraft films. Um, and he's actually trying to get the rights for Nightmare on Elm Street to do a new version.
oh!
So
I saw. Yeah, you posted that in the group, the news.
so I like Elijah Wood. He's a genre fanatic, so I have a lot of respect for that dude.
I feel like Jim Carrey's role in Sonic the Hedgehog as Dr. Robotnik will unfortunately be the best performance in the whole movie and will outshine Sonic. And, I mean, I don't know who has high hopes for this movie, but I love seeing how they
That's
bring
probably going to
these
be a new
characters.
guilty pleasure for you.
Oh no, I hope not. I hope not, because I think it's going to be bad. And I don't. None of the movies in my guilty pleasure. Well, that I guess that's the definition, right? But none of these movies do I don't think they're bad in any way, really. Let me see. Yeah, okay. I thought I had too many. I have,
Yeah, I
and
didn't really put any "it's so bad it's good" films in my list.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
something
That's
a
what I meant.
little different to me. These are ones that actually just enjoyed a film.
Yeah, so I take it as like how you gave the definition. Another way I look at it is, um, if it's on TV, it's just like I don't care where it is in the movie. I'm just like, oh yeah, yeah, and I just put it on and I just start watching it while I'm doing something around the house, or if I'm doing the dishes, I'll just leave it on in the background. I was like, oh ha ha, and it's just like really, like you said, the nostalgia of it. It's like, oh yeah, I remember this part, or like, oh, this is that stupid scene, and it's a lot of fun. It's a
It's like
fun movie.
it's like the comfort food
Yeah,
for of film.
yeah. This is,
Now I do have one so bad it's good on here. I will clarify that, but it's so amazing. But we'll get to that later. What's your number five?
my number five. So this is my I think he was my first man crush. Hugh Jackman stars in this movie where he plays, which is the title of the movie, my number five, Van Helsing.
Now Hugh Jackman, that just sounds like a porn star.
Hugh, wait, what is there must be a pun for a Hugh name.
Huge Jackman.
Hugh, no, that's the actual guy. Anyway, puns are lost on you, my
No,
friend.
I have
Not what I was going
I've
for.
never seen Van Helsing.
Oh, I mean, of course I'm going to say it. It's a good one, but it's such a, it's a good story. Like it just plods right through. There's no like intense pacing or like, when I compare it to like a really good art film, like how there's just that stress and tension. Like, no, boom, boom, boom. You got your action. Like, here's the story. Here's the characters. And, every so often there's a decent laugh, but from like your one comedy relief character. But I feel like when it comes to Hugh Jackman, at least, I haven't seen a bad acting performance by Hugh Jackman. Even in the movie that I didn't get to finish seeing of him because it was just so droning and political, The Front Runner, I heard it did well, but I was not in the mood for that runtime or just that plot. Political drama is like, it's hard. I really tried, Hugh. I'm sorry, but that was I had difficulty with it. But also, Van Helsing, there are some werewolves in Van Helsing, so that's two thumbs up from
I
me.
know you love the werewolves.
Yeah, the vampire CG in there is a bit much and gets weird. Dracula is in it, but it's a good movie. I really like it. It's a lot of fun. What's your number 4?
Now, I want to do a number 4 with the honorable mention because I really had to choose between these two films because my list was a little bit longer.
It was just
The honorable
tearing you apart
mention,
inside.
the honorable mention is Bloodsport,
Yeah, that's a good one.
which I'm sorry, it has like 20 on Rotten Tomatoes. I think when I checked it out, it's like, how the hell is that? That's such a badass movie. And a lot of people don't realize that the story behind the movie was based on a true story, but that true story was all made up by some fucking psycho dude.
So now I'm lost. Is it based on a true story or not?
It's based on what they thought was a true story, but then they found out all this guy's stories were bullshit.
How long after? Like after the movie was out for a number of years, or
I don't know if they even knew beforehand or not. The guy behind this was like ex-Marine. I think they might even found out that like he said he had all these medals and stuff, and they found out that he was just like an enlisted man. And he said that he was with the CIA and he got called over to do the Kumata, and nobody ever heard of the Kumata. And they're like, how the hell do you keep the Kumata secret with that many people involved? It makes no sense.
Right.
Like if you remember Black Belt magazine, that used to be like the kung fu magazine back in the day. Like they they did like they did an expose on them and like all so it all just turned out to be bullshit. Like everybody that he had to back up his stories were all his homeboys, and they all found out it's all crap. But the movie is awesome. The movie is awesome. It has Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah.
It has the guy who was in the Nerds, Ogre.
Girl.
You remember the Nerds?
No.
Oh my God! How do you never seen the Nerds? That's like
Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah, Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, see, I know of these, but they were like the teen movies before I was a teen.
Yeah.
So it's like it wasn't for me, so I never really went backwards in time to seek them out.
Ogre was the biggest dude out of the bully, the bully fraternity that messed with all the nerds.
Okay.
He's the guy who plays Jean-Claude Van Damme's buddy, who gets his head stomped by Bolo.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to remember the fighting scene at the end. I don't remember who his friend was. I thought you meant the one who he's like avenging.
Yeah, he gets his head stomped. I haven't seen Bloodsport in a long time, but I remember he got his head stomped, and he has like the bandana
In the wheelchair? He's in a wheelchair in the beginning. He gets injured, and am I thinking of Kickboxer?
Yeah, I think you're thinking of Kickboxer. This dude got his head stomped.
Oh, okay. This is the other one. This is the other Van Damme.
But it also had Bolo, who we discussed last week with Enter the Dragon, who is just such a big monstrous figure, but such a good movie. But that's my honorable mention. The one that is my real number 4 is Cobra.
Oh,
Sylvester Stallone,
who you're not a fan of.
And I think if you remember, we talked about Sylvester Stallone. It's like the one movie I really love by him is Cobra. And Cobra was like, you kind of mixed kind of boilerplate by the numbers American action movie with almost horror, because you had like a serial killer cult. And it was just so amazing. It was such an amazing movie. The dialogue is so bad that it's great. And I mean, his name's Cobaretti. The name of the detective.
That's his whole first name?
That's his last name. That's where they get Cobra from.
His last name is Cobaretti?
Yeah. So, it's like an Italian cobra.
Because there's like I don't know which area of India, but in like North India, I believe, or in like mid India, Reddy, Reddy, is a last name, is a common last name.
Well, it's
so
like Retti. It's like like if you put like an Italian
type
of
geez, not
and
geez.
yeah. But yeah, it's such an awesome movie. I've even heard that they're talking about remaking it
with Stallone reprising his role.
I hope not, but Stallone did write this one too. He was a writer.
Oh, another one. Wait, how many of his, do you know off the top of your head? How many of his movies did he write? Because he did
Well,
Rocky, the first
he did
Rocky.
Rocky.
He did,
Cool story behind Cobra is that Sylvester Stallone was supposed to be in Beverly Hills Cop. And a lot of Cobra comes from what he was writing for Beverly Hills Cop. But they decided they wanted Beverly Hills Cop to be more comedic. And Sylvester Stallone didn't want to do that. And that's when they brought Eddie Murphy in.
That's so funny. I would love to see a serious Beverly Hills Cop. Well, I mean, it was kind of serious. I mean, there was the death of a friend, and then he's trying to avenge him by going out to Beverly Hills, to California and all.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, obviously Eddie Murphy brings a whole different level of entertainment to the table.
Yeah, and Sylvester Stallone wanted it to be more dark, and Cobra, it was his response to not doing Beverly Hills Cop.
So it was, just for extra information on that, was it his choice to not do Beverly Hills Cop, or they turned down the script, you're saying?
I think he backed out of it just because he didn't like the direction they were going.
Did they want him to do blackface? And in a comedy role coming out of Detroit, like, all right, here you are. You gotta make jokes. You gotta.
Yeah.
Oh, guys.
Your name's Axel. You know.
Axel.
Hey, Axel. What was
Axel
Axel
Foley.
Foley?
Yeah. That movie. Oh man, that's a good one. But I think a lot of people love that movie. That wouldn't be on this list. But that's another movie I love.
Oh, anything with Eddie in the 80s is classic.
48 Hours, isn't that another one?
48 Hours.
And then isn't another 48 Hours, right? There's a sequel to that one. I didn't see that one.
Yep. Well, they have 3 Beverly Hills Cops, and they're coming out with a 4th one for Netflix, I believe.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so he's coming back with these Netflix movies, and we're going to be talking about another one of his movies in a little bit here.
Yeah. So what's your number 4?
My number 4. I didn't want to rank these just to save myself the headache and heartache of putting these in a certain order, but I'm gonna go with The Mummy, and not who you're thinking, not Tom Cruise. We're going way back to Brendan Fraser. Okay, now Brendan Fraser, I know
back when he was skinny.
Back when he had a good build on him. He wasn't. I'd say maybe it was like because he was never shirtless. I feel like at that time in the movies, like everybody wasn't getting shirtless all the time. I think maybe Harrison Ford was, but rarely. It was just like you didn't need to prove you had a 6-pack to be that manly kind of character until, I don't know who started breaking the mold on that. But
The Rock.
Yeah, right. Okay, people were getting shirtless before The Rock. All right, chill out. He's my boy.
I've seen that movie, but I do not remember much of it at all.
It is such a fun romp through classic stereotypical Egypt and Egyptology and mummy remains and like all the booby traps galore. I keep confusing this guy for Billy Zane, but he's such a Billy Zane lookalike, the guy who plays the mummy. It's with, what's her name? The female. I already forgot her name.
Was Selma Hayek in that or something?
No, not Selma Hayek. Shoot.
I don't know where that came from.
But it's just funny. Like it's like the best Brendan Fraser. Like I wouldn't even bother with 2 or 3 because when you start throwing all these extra actors and then you go, oh, not this again, bro. All those stupid
Throw
little
The Rock
cliches.
into it.
Yeah. Oh, gross. The Rock was in it in 2.
Yeah, he was the Scorpion King.
Technically not, because it was just his head CG'd on it. Oh my, just some nasty looking CG. Don't watch it. If you love The Mummy, just stick with it and just watch that 10 billion times. Don't go see 2 and 3. The Tom Cruise one is not a remake. It's its own adaptation. Like different story entirely. And it's,
fucked up that whole film from everything I've read.
I liked it. It wasn't terrible if you're not picking at it too much. Like it's a typical Tom Cruise kind of action sort of movie. Not Mission Impossible by any means, but it wasn't. I didn't feel like I wasted my money in theaters or anything. It was decent.
I always like my action heroes to be over 5'2". That's just my opinion.
Listen, sometimes you just don't have a choice, do you, David? All right, so you just gotta deal with it. Tom Cruise is the man.
Tom Cruise or Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah, exactly. And Dustin's not gonna be doing it for you. All right, he's getting into his old age. He's coming back. He's gonna be doing Tootsie remake soon. All right.
So we go to number 3.
You are at your number 3, sir.
My number 3 is Dirty Work.
Oh,
which is such a maligned comedy. It got so much hate. It's Norm Macdonald.
Yeah.
And Artie Lang.
Yeah.
Chris Farley's last movie before he died.
Oh, was it really?
Yep. Chris Farley's last film. It's about a couple guys who decide to open up a company that they do all the revenge that you need. So they're doing your dirty work.
Mm-hmm.
The film starts off with them in elementary school, and this kid's just bullying the hell out of both of them. So they decide to get like a stockpile of guns and put them inside his desk and call the police. It's like, that's how you start off the movie. It's fucking great. The police are escorting the kid out. I mean, this is before, like, people are shooting up schools every other day, so I guess you can get away with doing that.
Yeah, but, the comedy, yeah.
Yeah, but it's such. I'm a huge fan of Norm Macdonald. I think he's a genius, comedy wise. A lot of people don't know one of my biggest loves outside of film is stand up comedy, and Norm is a master. Artie Lang I think is great. He's fallen on some bad times here last few years he's done more cocaine than like Escobar, but but it's just such a funny film. Chris Farley plays a Vietnam vet who had his nose bitten off by a Vietnamese whore.
Yeah, when you said it, I was like, "Oh, Chris Farley's in it," and then it came to mind. I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right."
Well, I forget, they were getting back at a guy who owns a car dealership, and he was making a commercial. So they hired a bunch of hookers to be in the trunks of the cars during the commercials. So he'd open up, it looks like he has dead whores in all the trunks of the cars he's selling.
Yeah, they activated it or something, and they all just start opening, and he's trying to close them or something right during the live feed.
I don't know why this film was hated so much, but it's so funny.
Folks, I would like to think a lot of people liked it.
I think I saw that's like under 20% on IMDb too, or on Rotten Tomatoes as well.
Oh man, the one scene that I loved from that movie was the mob scene when their idea of a prank. I don't know who told them to do it, but they put the fishes. The dead fish in the pots, and then while they're still in the building, the mob guys are coming. They're already coming back home, and so they just rush into the next room, and they're just overhearing the entire conversation. So all we see is them, but we hear the voiceovers of the characters in the other room, like something smells fishy. I'm like, hey, what is that supposed to mean? Maybe he's wearing a wire. You wearing a wire? And they just start shooting each other. And they're like, they're narrating all the action, like, oh, he's got a chainsaw. It's a really good. Artie's father, you remember that?
Oh yeah,
that guy must be dead.
Yeah. That's in another film I almost made on the list. Isn't the same guy who's the grandfather in Problem Child, if I remember correctly?
The guy who plays Artie's father, is he who in Problem Child? That's been a long time.
The grandfather in Problem Child. That one almost made my list too. I actually watched both of those films, 1 and 2, this week. I didn't even put that on my list.
Is he one of those vampire old people like Betty White, who just has been old their entire acting career for the last 80 years?
Oh, yeah.
That guy was old then.
She was hot in like 1920.
All white hair. Yeah, I mean, when she was, what show was it on? One of those game shows I remember seeing it on TV, Black and White. And I was like, oh, wow, yeah, she was really cute and stuff. And then I'm like, she looks the same. Like, what is she eating? We should be analyzing these people's food, how they've been organizing their food pyramids. Well, I was gonna say, my wife always does this when we watch older movies like from the '90s or something. If we ever watch it, she's like, all these guys are probably dead now. Like, all she points out, she's like, that guy's probably dead. And I'm
thanks,
like,
hon.
yeah, I'm like, oh, that's true. Like this,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
a
it
whole
is
different
this.
level.
It is the same guy, Jack Warden. Who,
Okay, he
believe it
looks
or
like
not,
a
in his
jack.
earlier in his career, he was nominated twice for Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor.
Oh, wow. Wait, for Dirty Work?
Yeah, no, he didn't get it for Dirty Work. For Shampoo and Heaven Can Wait from the 70s.
Poor guy. And then he
But
picked
yes, the same Artie Lang's father was also the adopted grandfather in Problem Child.
Yeah, well, there you go. You're just like slipping in like 7 honorable mentions in every pick of yours there.
Well, I didn't even think about that until you brought up Artie Lang's father, and I'm like, oh my god, that was like a perfect segue.
And I'd like to segue that into John Ritter. I love Three's Company, and that was a brilliant show. Oh, on a side note, my wife actually met Jason Ritter at a restaurant when she was out with her coworker. Are you familiar with Jason Ritter?
I know he's John's son. I can't really place him now.
Have you ever seen the show cartoon Gravity Falls?
No.
It's not like it's one of those shows like it's obviously a cartoon for kids, but like the dialogue and stuff, like there's so many themes about it that are like there's no way kids enjoy all of that, and it's pretty good. Like the humor is really funny for us for adults and stuff. But he does the voice for one of the kids, and I saw him. He had a short-lived TV series about a guy who gets like certain sums of money and he's supposed to do good deeds with it and blah blah. But that was the first time I ever saw him.
My name
speak.
is Earl.
No, I know. That's what I was thinking when I saw that show. I was like, "Isn't this just My Name Is Earl?" There were some different concepts, but I don't know. Yeah, that was the first time I ever saw him speak, and it's so weird because you see this cartoon character, and then you see his voice. It's just him speaking. Some people have to put on a voice. It was just his voice the whole time. It's so weird. Anyway, she saw him at a restaurant, and she got a picture with him, and I was like, "Oh, that's so cool. I wish I could have been there. That would have been fun."
Life of living in LA.
Man, it is tough. Let me tell you, all these celebrities constantly getting pictures with them, and
The guy bringing you your refill has a script he wants you to read.
oh, he wants me to read. I think the celebrity side is usually on the other side of the table, not mine. Oh, and just by chance, who he's married to now was also in one of her favorite movies. And I was like, oh, that's pretty crazy. Like you were there at the same time. But that was this fun little story, little real life story for you guys.
Well, now you have to get the folks your number 3.
Oh, yeah. Number 3. For the first time, you will not have taken any of my picks. Number 3. So far, so good anyway. Number 3 is starring Jennifer Lopez. See if you can guess it. Jennifer Lopez, Jon Voight, Ice Cube, and Carrie Wurr is in it also. I believe. Oh my gosh, what's his name? The guy, he has a weird nose. He's got Owen, one of the Owen brothers. I always forget this guy's name, but he always goes like, he's always like,
Oh, one
wow.
of the Wilson brothers. Well, Wilson.
Owen
Owen
Wilson. Oh, I was thinking that was the last name.
Owen Wilson's the blonde one, and was it Patrick? I always forget the brother's name from old school.
Luke Wilson.
Yeah.
Luke was the other one. Oh yeah, and then there's that other one that's like looks more like the generic type of typical average guy. What's his name? I forget. You just said it, I think.
Patrick? I don't know.
No, Patrick Wilson. That's that other guy. Isn't that the guy from Insidious? Anyway, back to my pick. So, did you guess the movie or no?
I'm trying to place Ice Cube, Jon Voight, and Jennifer Lopez, and that's
they are on a boat cruising down in South America along the Amazon.
Oh, it's an Anaconda?
They are seeking out the Anaconda. At least John Voight is. They are just there as filmmakers or documentarians. And
See, I was thinking Anaconda too. I haven't seen it so long. I forgot J-Lo was in it.
yeah, it's a great performance. That's not why I like the movie. The Anaconda is just great.
Is she in skimpy clothes?
Not as much as you would hope for. I'll say that. And there is barely any kind of a kiss scene with her anyway. Like that's if that's why you want to check out this movie, don't bother. It's not worth it.
She's making out with John Voight.
Gross. I think there is a scene where she has to like seduce him to get like the gun away from him or something. And yeah, gross. John Voight. John Voight's character is so funny because he starts off with this strange like Bayou accent, and they're out in South America, so it's like I don't know if they told him what the location was, but he's acting like he's out in the middle of Louisiana, and they're over in the Amazon, and he's got this weird Bayou accent and a Cajun accent is what I mean. And I swear, like halfway through the movie, he just drops and he's like, whatever. He's like, screw this. I'm not getting paid enough for this. But Carrie Werr is in it, and she is, I don't know why, but she's in so many B movies, but she was such a favorite of mine growing up. She was in, you know why? Because I loved her in the show Sliders. Oh, here's another TV honorable mention. Did you ever see that one with...
Was that the one that was kind of like a ripoff of Quantum Leap?
Yeah, yeah. I think it was on UPN. Like UPN 50 was in the Midwest. But not John Connor. We're going back to Terminator. What is that guy? He did all those. He was a '90s kind of fan.
Jerry O'Connell.
Jerry O'Connell. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah,
I
yes.
don't know how I remember this shit.
It's coming back, man.
I've probably seen like 2 episodes of that damn show.
I think I can only remember now 2 or 3. I remember way more Quantum Leap. Quantum Leap was the one to watch, but yeah, Sliders was like the cheaper Quantum Leap edition. But yeah, she was in that one. She's in this one, and another real life story, LA story. I ran into her with my kids when I was not physically. I just mean I was in the same.
Threw my kids at her.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Carrie. Oh my God, you're Carrie. No, so we entered the same elevator. She was with her like 4 kids who were all like teenagers, and her husband, which I later looked up, she remarried. But like I could tell it was her, and I had my sunglasses on, so I was like, oh, she can't see my eyes, right? So I'm just like all wide-eyed staring at her, and she complimented my children. So there it is. Carrie Werr thinks my children are beautiful, and I just said I was trying to be real cool about it, and I was like, oh, thank you very much. Like your children are good looking also. I think I said I didn't expect her to say anything to me. And then after we got out of the elevator, like I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to presume that these were all your children. and then she was like, she's like, oh, well, yeah, they all are. This one's really mine. And I was like, I don't know what that means. I need to leave. I need to walk away from this. Because I don't know what else to say.
Say hi to Jerry O'Connell for me.
It's like, oh my God, I love you so much, Sliders. But yeah, so then, because then there's this long walk till we get to like the walk area to go into the movies, and they happened to be going into the movies too. And she was even alone at one point getting popcorn while the rest of them went. And I was like, oh, maybe I should get a picture. Maybe I should. I was like, no, forget it. I was like, by the time I got over my own anxieties, like she was gone. I was like, forget it, never mind. The moment is gone.
Well, you bring up John Voight, who is so it helps me on a tangent. John Voight, who is the father of Angelina Jolie, who used to be married to Brad Pitt, and I really like Fight Club. Nah, I'm fucking with you.
Oh, you won't let me forget it. That loop is just gonna keep hitting that same wrinkle in my brain. You bring up Fight Club.
Even well, I guess I should go to my number 2.
Please. And, oh man, we're already at 2, yeah.
I think we talked about this last week, or it might have been a week before that briefly. but I know he's the star of probably what's going to be your number one. But the remake of Wicker Man
Oh, okay, yeah,
with Nicolas Cage.
that's a good one.
Oh God, it's now I love the original Wicker Man. Such a great film. So I'm like, why are they remaking like a great '70s English horror film with Nicolas Cage? It just didn't really dawn on me that that was a very good choice until I saw the remake of Wicker Man.
Then that why changed to why not?
Why it made me think Nicolas Cage should be in every fucking movie.
Yes. Which brings me to my. No, go ahead.
Like it should be like in your contract. Like you could be making a love story. Nicolas Cage has to be at least one scene where he's just full on batshit crazy.
I mean, if that's not happening in every one of his movies, then it's not complete.
The brilliant thing,
so many I don't see that in.
the brilliant thing about The Wicker Man, if you watch it, Nicolas Cage's dialogue is almost a commentary about how fucked up this movie is. He's sitting there like, why is this happening? What the hell's going on here? He spent half the movie doing that. I mean, they put him in a beekeeper hat full of bees.
So this is what you're doing. This is what the people are saying. You just keep. This is
And
what
he's like, there's bees in my eyes. Oh no.
It's like the bees, they're in my eyes. And it's like a faraway shot too. It's not like some gory graphic scene. That's what makes it so funny. They're carrying him away, and you just hear this clear voiceover, like he's in the studio screaming this, and he's so far away. He's already gone off camera. It's in my eyes.
And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, this is really going to fuck up a whole generation from seeing the original Wicker Man, because they're going to see, like, I'm not that movie must be just totally fucked up. But they carry some basic plot points. It's definitely not a shot for shot remake, but Nicolas Cage makes the whole movie, and
Absolutely.
it's so bad I just love to watch it.
My friend and I, who I think that was the last movie we saw together. I mean, just coincidentally, it's not like that ended any relationship or friendship between us, but he rented that, and I was like, oh, cool. I think it was back when Nicolas Cage was maybe a guaranteed good time at the time, or we thought so, and we rented it from Family Video, and we watched it, and now it's been just an inside joke between us. We're like, oh yeah, is it your Wicker Man? And like we bust out laughing and constantly talking about that movie all the time now.
That's a great one. That's a great one. So let's go on to your number two.
My number two. So I did that one. All right. So this one is a creature feature movie featuring what is this guy's name? Thomas Jane. And I think I'm going to do this from now on. If I really know the characters, I'm just like to give people a time to guess. LL Cool J, who plays a chef, and I'll say, okay, yeah, this is a role played by Samuel L. Jackson, and the not so well known, at least I don't think by her name, definitely Saffron Burrows plays a main role.
Is this
yeah?
Is this the shark movie?
Yes.
Was it Deep Blue?
Deep Blue Sea. I believe it's Deep Blue Sea, right?
I don't remember.
It's on my list, and I'm asking you to clarify. I'm pretty sure it's Deep Blue. Yes, Deep Blue Sea from 1999. So basically, what happens is there's some scientists on a floating lab in the middle of the ocean. Then they're doing experiments to make sharks smarter, and for the purpose of then extracting this fluid, I guess, from their brains and using it, putting it towards Alzheimer's research. This wasn't. I saw this a long time ago.
Where did they get all this funding from? It's amazing.
I mean, so Samuel Jackson plays that role. He visits the lab, and he's there to like kind of verify that funds are being put in the right place and that they're actually progressing and blah blah blah, stuff like that. You can imagine how well things end up for the cast and crew. There is I saw this a long time ago, the first time, and I thought it was like, oh, it's just one of those like run of the mill kind of like, oh, okay, haha, the sharks, whatever, shark creature feature, kind of scary, not scary, but whatever. And then later on, I watched it again when I was older. I was like, holy hell, this movie is so funny and ridiculous. And I saw this. Have you ever heard of the podcast show? I think they have some videos on YouTube also, called "How Did This Get Made?"
No, I don't think so.
Paul Scheer, I think he runs the show, so he's always on it. And his usual partner at one point was his wife, June something Raphael, I forget her name, and then Jason Mantzoukas, which you might know from some comedies that he's always played. He's this bearded fellow, kind of looks some Indian complexion. I'm not sure what his background is, but it's so funny. And the one they do on Deep Blue Sea, what they do is they basically they talk about movies that, how did this get made? So basically this movie should not have been made, and they just go like sometimes scene by scene, or they just talk the story out, and it's so funny. This one that they do, it's about an hour-long show, and they talked about this one particular scene where if you watch this movie, and I recommend it, there's a scene where the sharks break the glass, this huge glass, because this is always a great thing, right? When you have an underwater lab, if you ever have an underwater lab, make sure you have a room that is just like 99% glass, and then that's where all of your computer equipment is in front of, because that's where you need to be to do the computing. And it shatters, okay? This huge wall of glass shatters, and pretty much the entire cast is there in that room. And what's supposed to take place is that the cast is running from the water and like, oh, got to get away from the rushing water, right? Well, this happens on camera while everything's being recorded by accident. The scene that happens, and you can look it up, the scene that happens when it takes place, the actors were not ready. And when I found that out, I had to watch it again. I mean, the look on their faces is actual horror. So it's
that's great. That's the best take.
Right? That's what I'm saying. Like, that's the best part of the movie, really. With exception of like all of LL Cool J's parts. Because
how many times does he lick his lips?
Oh, you got to ask, is there a scene where he doesn't? And
that's a drinking game right there. Got to take a shot every time LL licks his lips.
He's so funny. I'm not sure if he's a good guy, but I just love saying he's a good guy. He's got this dumb parrot, but it's so funny. Man, I don't want to give away the ending, but it's LL Cool J just owns this movie. He's so good. There's a rap song. This is what almost makes this my number one. I was debating. He does the soundtrack, at least the title song, and he has a music video. My head is like a shark's fin. Something. Oh my God. This music video is just so funny. You got to find it and watch it. You listen to some hip hop and stuff, so maybe it'll be right up your alley. And
yeah, LL wasn't like stop being cool in like '88.
Ladies love Cool James.
Ladies love Cool James.
But then it's he does this. He's like religious in a way. I don't think he was a reverend or anything, but he's like a reformed alcoholic, and he does this rap prayer at the end. It's just like, it's just so funny. It's so weird. It's such a good movie. I'm not even gonna say any more about it.
Well, I'm going to go to my number one, which is funny because you bring up how the hell was, this ever made?
Mm-hmm.
In this movie, I would have loved to just I wish they had video of the pitch meeting. So the pitch would have to go. So a couple guys are invited up to their boss's house in the Hamptons for the weekend. Okay. And he dies. And hilarity ensues, including necrophilia.
Oh, I know, but it's a matter of which one is it, because there were sequels, right?
Yeah, I love both, but Weekend at Bernie's, the original, the first one, is, oh my God, it's such a funny film. I guess I don't even know the year. I'm just probably like 88, 89. And to this day, I cannot stop laughing just thinking about it. It is such a fucking great film. Um,
That one almost made my list. I was considering it. I was like, but you know what? I didn't really have a huge attachment to it, so I was like, no, I won't.
But you got to think how this was made by a major film company. You couldn't even they would punch you in the face if you went in there in 2019 and try to pitch something like this.
Is this the one you were saying like it's almost so bad it's good?
No, that's the Wicker Man.
Oh,
Weekend
that
at
was that
Bernie's
one.
is just a classic comedy. It like the main character is a dead body.
Yeah, man, he must. And was it an easy role, you think, or was it a difficult role to play a dead body?
I think it's got to be. It's difficult in a different way because you got to trust everybody, just carrying you around, and you gotta. Be dead weight all the time. People waving your arms.
Gosh, and then the dance. Oh wait, is that 2? When the dancing
part 2 is when he gets the voodoo spell. Whenever he hears music, he dances.
Oh, a quick shout out since we talked about Dirty Dancing. What the hell are we talking about? Weekend at Bernie's 2. I saw it recently with my friend Shyla, who's in our group, and she loves this movie.
Oh, it's so good.
Funny.
And I just love it. I was probably like 9 or 10 when this first came out, and I just remember seeing it like this is comedic gold. I mean, if you remember, Bernie's girlfriend comes over and takes him up to the room and says it's the best sex she ever had.
Oh, gross.
Like Bernie has a cigarette in his mouth. They have a huge party. They're getting high and drinking, and no one realizes Bernie is dead. But he keeps on the dead body keeps on foiling the hitman coming to get him. I mean, it's just such a classic movie. If you've never seen Weekend at Bernie's, and this would probably be more for any younger visitors, look up Weekend at Bernie's and watch it. You will be so happy you did.
There's just some it's one of those 90s, right?
I think it was the end of the 80s.
Borderline. I'm thinking, wait, maybe it was early. Let's see. Weekend at Bernie's, 1989. Oh, so close.
But it's still 80s. You still have to. Even 1990, you still have a lot of the 80s sensibilities going on. So it's definitely an 80s film.
That's a good guilty pleasure pick because that really fits the bill for that. It's that it's not great, but it's great in so many ways, and it's just a random that comes on all the time, once every month on TNT, late night.
And it's so original. Reason. There's nothing like that premise.
There's probably a reason for that.
How do you win that role? Okay, you're going to be Bernie. Okay, you get about 3 scenes where you're actually alive, but the rest just a dead body.
I mean, was that guy just the producer? Was he actually an actor they sought out?
This was definitely his big hit. I think I've seen the guy who played Bernie in other stuff before.
Just loves looking at pictures of the movie now. It's so funny. Oh, God.
But it is such a good movie, and the comedy it's over the top 80s indulgence. So yeah, definitely see Weekend at Bernie's if you haven't seen it. I've seen Terry Kaiser plays Bernie, and I've seen him in other stuff, but you only remember it was in Friday the 13th. Part 7 before Weekend at Bernie's.
Tell me, David, what do you think the budget would be for a movie as wonderful as Weekend at Bernie's?
I would say back then.
I'm looking at the information now. This is more of just $8
million.
Oh, you went over. 6.5 million. In box office, they made close to 5 times as much, 30 million. So that's impressive.
Oh, that is impressive. And you got to think what they did on video sales and the rental
Oh
market after
man.
that. What
You
did
mean
IMDb? What did they give it on Rotten Tomatoes?
54%.
That is a
Roger
tragedy.
Roger Ebert gave it 1 out of 4 thumbs up.
I fucking fuck you, Roger Ebert.
I don't even give a damn. I heard some recommendations like, "Oh, Roger Ebert gave it." I was like, you know what? I don't even care about that name anymore. Like, there's so many review sites. We talked about this like the third time we brought this up, but yeah, 91% of Google users liked it though.
91% of Google users. They're all
Or is that all just
they're
you?
all in that 30 to 40, they're all that 35-year older crowd, I guess. and
Uh,
and on top of that, it was a PG-13 movie.
yes, it was. I see that here. And so good
How
they made
can you
it.
have necrophilia in a PG-13 movie? How great is that?
I didn't even know this was a genre. It's called a farce adventure.
A farce adventure.
What the hell is that?
That is really breaking down the subgenres there.
Like, I think it might be the only one in its class. It's a 6.4 on IMDb.
Well, it had a sequel, so they had to make a little bit of money.
They made something. They put all of that into. Now I got to see if we can hit Bernie's 2 real quick. Took place in 1993. Oh, you want to know what genre this one falls into? Farce buddy.
Farce buddy comedy.
Sure,
There wasn't as much adventure.
I guess not.
And that one only made 12.7 on a $7 million budget.
Correct. Yep.
And that made all this money in the home rental market.
10% Rotten Tomatoes, 4.8 on IMDb.
I love them both, folks. Go have yourself a night where you just watch both Weekend at Bernie's films.
Have yourself a
And it's PG-13, so you can watch it with some children.
Yeah, maybe just like flash forward that scene with the necrophilia, but the rest of it is so.
It is at least all the necrophilia is off camera.
Oh, okay. I don't recall the scene very well, but
it's mostly implied. But it's still necrophilia.
Who puts the cigarette in his mouth?
I think she brings him back downstairs, and he's just sitting there with a cigarette. Oh, how great is that?
All right. I
already have a feeling what your number one is.
Listen, it's going to be a complete surprise. I've never mentioned this on the show ever before in my life.
Really?
My number one on my top 5 list of guilty pleasures is Con Air. So I know I've never brought it up before, and many people may not know this movie, but it's a brilliant adaptation of a classic novel starring the beautifully styled Nicolas Cage, a mullet like you've never seen. Actually, no, it's not even a mullet, is it? It's just long hair.
No, it's a mullet.
Because it's not cut in the front. It's just long
short
hair.
bangs in the front, it's short in the front, long in the back, isn't it?
I don't think so. I think it's just long hair, actually.
If you Google mullet, I think that haircut pops up.
Nicolas Cage from the movie Con Air pops up. Nicolas Cage, let's see. Con Air, is it a mullet? No, I phrased it wrong. I set myself up for failure with the way I typed it. Is it a mullet? See, it's not cut on top. As far as I understand mullets to be, it's in Nicolas Cage's Hairpiece Hall of Fame, however. Muscles and Mullets and Malkovich. That's a good one. That was a working title for this movie. No. So it features him
he has the hair of Jesus.
It is beautiful. Well, and Jesus didn't have a mullet.
No.
See? Beautifully haired Jesus-styled man. He is a
Nick Cage and a mullet and a wife beater.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the best looking I've ever seen him, like in terms of like fitness wise. I don't know if I've ever seen him again in a wife beater.
Well, he's like,
I love that name too.
You try to outdo the white trashiness of Raising Arizona.
Man, his accent is like another come and go thing with that movie too. But it's so good. It's such a good fun flick. It's always on TV. Like if you're just like up late and you want a fun time, just look up Nick Cage. He's trying to get home. He's finally got his parole, and something goes down on Convict Airlines, which is the official plane to transport convicts from one location to another.
And if I could interject, the great
Please.
thing about it with Nicolas Cage's hair, Con Air is a name of like a blow dryer.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Like hairstyle equipment.
I think so far 70% of my talking about this Con Air movie has been about his hair. I'd like to mention some of the story. It also features Dave Chappelle, if anyone.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that he was in that.
Yeah, a short-lived Dave Chappelle. He also Ving Rhames, and of course John Malkovich, who plays Cyrus the Virus, the mastermind.
He must really needed a paycheck. Isn't John Cusack in that too, and Mickey Rourke?
Yes, and Mickey Rourke. Yes. John Cusack plays a good cop, and Mickey Rourke plays the some other superior that is like, "Wow, you're crazy," blah blah blah, whatever.
And my favorite Mexican American ever,
Danny Trejo.
Yes. Yeah,
he's in it. I forgot about him. Yeah, he plays a dirtier role in that one I'm not too fond of. But who else? Oh, no, Steve Buscemi. He's in it too.
Oh, I don't remember Steve Buscemi in it.
He has that scene with where he's having a little tea party with the girl. Got the whole world in his hands. That one.
He got a lot of good acting talent in the movie.
I mean, if you're looking for good acting talent, Con Air. It's the go-to, and it's in my top 10 of the decade. Or wait,
of the 90s?
Top 10 of this generation. It is a generational hit.
Oh, Jesus.
Just the mere mention of Nicolas
Cage. You put that
Cage.
higher than Face Off?
Oh, man. Like, I was debating. Like, you brought it up. Face Off is a good one. I mean, that's like my favorite Travolta Cage movie. Like, that is so ridiculous. God almighty.
They're remaking that, too.
What? With who?
I just read something that they're in talks of remaking. I don't know if they have any actors attached yet.
Is it a sequel? Is it Body Off?
A Body Off.
Head Off? What is the...
No, they should do it with a man and a woman and just make it really timely.
Oh. That sounds like a comedy now. Just switch them in. It's like, whoa, what kind of... No, they've done that. It's starring Rob Schneider called The Hot Chick.
Yeah, you can't make that movie nowadays.
Really? Yeah, it looks like Paramount. Yeah, they're doing a new action hit, Face Off.
They're calling it an action hit already and it hasn't come out?
No. They're calling the original one an action hit. See, which is why I couldn't put it on my list, because it was so amazing.
Yeah, well, speaking of John Travolta, you know what? I meant to put that on here too. It's a new film that came out this year, The Fanatic.
Oh, right. Oh, that's been a while. We saw it a while back, yeah.
Yeah, that would definitely be a guilty pleasure too, because people hate that. That got worst reviewed film of the year, and I thought it was pretty funny and good. Did you watch that one yet?
Yeah, I saw that one. That was like the only one that I've seen so far that after you said, "Oh, you should watch this so we can talk about it," and I saw it immediately. Ever since then, I've been steadily increasing the period of time from when you would tell me to watch a movie and then I watch it. So I think I'm up to a week between when your recommendations and me actually ended up watching it. It wasn't great, but there was something unique about his acting. I liked it. It was believable.
Well, compared to like 15% on IMDb. or
I don't think
on Rotten Tomatoes.
I don't think it deserved a 15%. That seems a bit much.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
it was I found it kind of funny.
Yeah, I
myself.
thought it was enjoyable. It wasn't terrible. It was fairly predictable, I suppose. It didn't deserve 15. That seems a bit low. If Weekend at Bernie's is getting a 91, John Travolta does not deserve a 15 for that. And also the other character who he plays opposite, he's the one from the original Final Destination, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that him grown up? Yeah, I was like, wait, I recognize that guy. I didn't look at the credits to find out.
Idle
I was like,
Hands.
yeah. Oh, Idle Hands with Jessica
Jessica
Alba.
Alba's like breakthrough.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah,
And thank you, Idle Hands, for that.
for Jessica Alba.
Yes.
No, thank you. Okay.
Well, folks, that is our and we got more than 10 out
Yeah,
of that.
so
There's a couple honorable mentions and not crossing over at all.
welcome.
So that was a good list this week.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. This is our first time doing a top 10 where it not only didn't cut but went over 10.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe that happens. I think we always.
I actually thought this was going to be a hard one for me. So
I have one more honorable mention that I forgot to mention, starring Chris Evans and Kim Basinger. Basinger.
it depends on who you are. I don't think she cares anymore.
I go with Basinger. Basinger.
I think she says Basinger.
Cellular. Have you seen that? Do you remember that?
I remember the name. I don't think I ever saw it.
It's a story where Chris Evans gets a call from Kim Basinger, who is, I think she's locked up somewhere, and she is trying to manipulate this broken phone and somehow reach someone to ask for help. And he gets this call, and he decides to take the challenge and upon himself to rescue this woman. Eventually, after thinking like, oh, is this some prank call? Blah, blah, blah. And anyway, she reaches him again. And she's like, you're the only person I can call. You have to help, blah, blah. And so anyway, it's kind of like a chase movie where he's trying to find her. Where are you? And stuff like that. And it was interesting. And it's that song. That was the first time I heard that song. What's that song that, oh my gosh, I have to look it up. Cellular.
I don't know.
Chris Evans, because I'm too embarrassed to say it unless I know the words. Chris Evans. I think it's Running Away by G Love. Oh, you know what? The best way to verify that. G Love Running Away lyrics. Where is it? Yeah. Okay, I'm not gonna sing this. So anyway, that song, that's the first time I heard that song, and I did not know what they were saying, but I was like, oh yeah, it's so like like yeah, it was a good beat to it. And then I started hearing that in like so many movies after that. I'm like, oh okay, it's that song again. And it just always made me think back to this movie. Anyway, Cellular, another honorable mention.
Another honorable mention.
All right, that is it for that list. Now, David, are you happy with the dishwashing liquid you currently use?
I don't know. I'd have to ask my wife.
The right answer would have been no, and that you need a better one. It would have been better if we rehearsed that part. But well, this portion of Coast to Coast Film Reviews is being brought to you by Lou's Dishwashing Liquid. The dishwashing liquid that is so mild you'll hardly notice how it stains your hands. And remember their motto, when you use Lou's dishwashing liquid, your plates will be so clean you could almost eat off of them.
Yeah, we're just getting rich off all the sponsors.
They're just coming in, and really it's just a matter of how many do I really want to put in the show. And it's more of an integrity reason that I don't just pile these in one show, because we could be making millions by now.
Yeah, and it's stuff we really want to use too.
I
was missing socks, and I used our sponsor from last week.
Yeah, Frank, great guy, Lou. I mean, I only use Lou's dishwashing liquid now for all of my plate cleaning needs.
You want to use old blue collar white men's products.
No,
Frank
you know,
and Lou.
you want to be cost efficient in today's day and age, and Lou really cuts all the corners necessary
Yeah.
and unnecessarily.